Welcome to another episode of Almost Ordained. I'm your host, David, the guy who graduated seminary but never got ordained. I'm taking a break from the COVID-19 series because, well, I need a break. I bet you do too. We could all use a break from COVID-19, right? And I'm turning my attention now to some of the most fundamental questions about the meaning of faith. I've written a book called Dark Nights of the Soul. Here it is. About my experiences living with clinical depression in the context of faith. And I came up with four principles that guide my recovery from depression. One of the principles is some types of faith are good for recovery and some are bad. Make sure you know the difference. How did I learn the difference? The hard way. From the oldest teacher in the world, experience. That's a tough way to learn. So, there are so many ways my faith has changed over the years. So many things that sounded right when I started, I've had to let go. I don't think I can teach you every lesson I've learned in the next few minutes. But if I could tell you only one thing, my number one tip about faith, it's this. In the Bible, the Greek and Hebrew words translated faith can be understood in different ways. The two most important distinctions, I believe, are faith as belief and faith as trust. I think most people think of faith only in terms of belief. If faith includes being a part of a religious body, that usually means they have doctrines and creeds. Sometimes there are a lot of articles of faith they ask you to believe, and some have maybe just a few. But generally, belonging to a particular faith does include believing certain things. It's not that that's a bad thing per se, but I think that's not where the focus should be. Because if you only think of faith as belief, then doubt is the worst possible thing that can happen to you. You have doubts? Oh no, there's no room for doubt here. You've got to believe. Just believe. Or, that's faith. You shouldn't ask questions about that. And so faith, for some people, has come to mean trying to force yourself to believe something you just know is not true. In that way, it strongly discourages being honest with yourself. And for mental health, honesty with yourself is absolutely essential. Trust, on the other hand, is not afraid to ask questions. It's not afraid to acknowledge doubts. Because trust recognizes doubt is part of the process. If you have a brain, you are going to have doubts along the way. And I don't believe God would give you a brain and then tell you, if you want to be in relationship with God, you have to shut your brain off. If you don't want any part of a God like that, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. You're going to have questions. So trust God is a better slogan of faith than just believe. And trust is not something you just have. And it's not a series of doctrines to check off and say, yes, I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. Trust is something built through relationship. It develops over time. Trusting God happens through experiencing God's faithfulness through the trials of life. And the path to trust is not a steady upward climb. There will be ups and downs. highs and lows. Trust happens when you realize the lows in life do not negate God's presence. And so trust understands questions and doubts are an inevitable part of being human. No one obtains a faith worth having without going through periods of doubt. I call those dark nights of the soul. Hence the title. So, there it is. You can get it on Amazon. So there is faith as belief and faith as trust. I first learned this distinction from the professor who taught my first religion classes at college, Dr. B.J. Seymour. She introduced me to the whole concept of faith as trust. Before that, I only thought of faith as believing all the right things. It's not that I don't have beliefs. I can go through the tenets of the Apostles' Creed and pretty much check each one of them. No problem. But at a time when I was shaky on belief, trust kept me going. If I'd never learned to think of faith in this way, I don't think I would have any faith to speak of today. That's why I dedicated this book to Dr. B.J. Seymour. And I wonder, why didn't I learn that in church? Why did I have to go to college for that? I think churches need to do a better job of teaching faith is first about trust. So there it is, my number one tip about healthy faith. Focus on a trusting relationship with God and what you believe. Think about what you believe in the context of that relationship. In the next episode, I'll get into more specifics of what all this means. We'll look at Abraham as an example, because it is said, Abraham had faith in God, and God counted it as righteousness. What kind of faith do they mean? Belief or trust? I'll explore that in the next episode. I hope you'll come back for that. As always, thanks for watching. If this was helpful to you, please share it and click the like button. If you subscribe, you will be notified when new episodes become available. Until next time, remember these words from Matthew 7, verse 12. In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets. Grace and peace to you.